How you doing, Robert? Obviously, now we're about to go into training camp. And it's your first time as the head coach. So what will be different from, just from your viewpoint going into this training camp?
Just from my viewpoint, obviously there's a more global aspect to it all, and with regards to scheduling and being part of those and trying to divvy out the day to make sure every position group is getting their time, along with each unit, coordinators, making sure players are getting their time, and so really the big difference is going to be scheduling.
um, Note keeping a little bit, Robert, but I think we noticed that Chris Herndon wasn't out at practice yesterday. Was he in the building rehabbing? I mean, what's kind of, you could provide any update there on him?
No, he was good. He came out to practice. He felt a little bit of tightness. Went in. He's perfectly fine, but it wasn't something that we wanted to push yesterday. So, but he's fine.
Robert,
Tightness, what, in his hamstring or something?
Yeah, this lower extremity.
A big picture question, Robert. Now that your first off season is essentially over, what do you think the biggest thing you guys got accomplished?
Each phase brought its own objective. You know, that with phase one, the big objective was try to introduce one another to each introduce ourselves to each other, players to players, coaches to coaches, coaches to players, and vice versa. Phase two was when we really got a chance to get on the field with the guys for the first time and really reintroduce and execute all the football 301 things that we talk about with regards to techniques and fundamentals. And then phase three, with all the practices, we really wanted to establish the speed at which we operate and the standard at which we practice in all three phases. And so we felt like we got all of it accomplished. We felt like it's been a very productive spring. We're healthy, which is the most important thing, and we're looking forward to training camp.
Your first year as a head coach, but how beneficial do you believe having this offseason was? Because last year, obviously, there were no OTAs and minicamps. So can you tell a difference in terms of preparation for the guys that were here having this program compared to last year when there was no program?
You know, last year, obviously, there's second year in the system, so I can't speak to last year. I could only imagine, though, for all the first year coaches that had to deal with no off season and then come into training camp and try to install things. Because when you look at our group, you know, we're and from the first practice all the way till now to that last practice yesterday, the improvement has been awesome. It's been great to see, and there were some hair-pulling moments, and even for myself, I'm like, man, how these guys last year, and by these guys, I'm talking about not my hair pulling, but maybe on my arms or something. But I tried to put myself in the shoes of all the first-year coaches from a year ago, and just, you know, the angst they must have felt during training camp when they're a week in the training camp and they're like, oh my God, we're so far away, because after the first week of OTAs, it was like, geez, we're so far away. And but to see the improvement really is I think they're priceless. I think football, and call me biased, but I just think football is impossible to get better at on your own. It has to be played. You can't find a pickup game of basketball. You can't find a batting cage to go do batting practice. You can't. I mean, it is something where it takes all 22 people. It takes work. It takes people working with one another to get better at. And unless you're doing it in the off season as a team, it's just I can't imagine what those coaches a year ago went through. So
a lot when you were introduced about establishing an identity and a culture. How much of that do you think you got done during the spring, and how much of it needs to get done when you're in pads and training camp and like you have talked about before, going through some adversity?
You know, culture, I know that word does get thrown around a lot, and I believe the culture is basically created by the people that are brought into it. And you know, that goes back to just all the discussions in this offseason, everything Joe and his staff have done, and the collaboration that's happened throughout the year with regards to bringing in men of tremendous character, men who want to play football, love football, want to get better every single day, just that mindset. As far as the identity goes, touched on it a couple of times, that our identity is not going to reveal itself until we see adversity. I mean, when things are good, everyone loves being part of winning, and everyone loves being a part of the good things. You know, the whole disease of me, like this. Of course, things are going to be good, but what's going to happen when you hit adversity and things aren't going your way? How are you going to look, not only as an individual but as a team? And so those moments are still yet to reveal itself. And like I've said a million times now, we're going to have a lot of ebbs and flows. There's going to be a lot of great moments. There's going to be a lot of hair pulling moments. But at the end of the day, that's what's going to shape this football team.
What do you believe that? What do you want that identity to be when it starts to reveal itself?
You know, it's hard. It is hard to. It's kind of hard to answer that question in this regard. You know, like you look back at some of the great coaches in the history of this league. You go back to Don Shula. He was smash mouth football, great defenses, and then Dan Marino comes around and the identity of the football team switches. Bill Belichick had the same thing. He shifted the team's identity when Tom Brady got better. It went from defense to Tom, and it's, you know, like the identity of the team is going to happen organically. And if you try to force feed an identity just because of what you want it to be as an individual, I think sometimes you kind of counteract what you're trying to get done, and that's an organic identity that will flow a heck of a lot more than something that's force fed. And I do think that this team is built in the way that the identities can be something that we're all excited to watch on Sunday.
You wanted to give all the young corners all the reps that they could during the spring. That's why you didn't bring in a veteran. How much of an improvement have you seen from those young corners?
We've seen some good improvement. You know, Joe and I were just talking a little bit about it today. We'll talk more, obviously, as the weeks go on, in the next couple of weeks. But you know, we're just talking about some of the rookies and the improvements that they've made. We talked about the guys who have been here and the improvements that they've made, and the excitement to get them to training camp, to get them against other receivers, to see them against the receivers that the Giants have in the first preseason game, and to see them against Green Bay and Philadelphia. Like, these are going to be really, really great moments for those guys, because we're going to be able to see what they're capable of doing. And so there's been some good improvement, and there's a lot to look forward to.
Learn about Zach over the last 2 months.
Zach loves ball. That's one thing that I've learned. He's unflappable in the sense that you know, he doesn't care whether something went good or bad. He wants to know why it went good or bad. He wants to learn from it, and so he's wired exactly the way you want all players to be wired, and so now it's just a matter of him getting as many reps as possible to go into as many situations as possible to see how much he can get better.
Robert, I just want to, you know, as you know, the league put out that new COVID, the new vaccination protocols yesterday. I just wanted, from a head coaching perspective, are you comfortable enough to where you guys are now that when you get to training camp, you'll be able to run a camp without having, you know, disruptions and distractions from guys who aren't vaccinated?
Comfort, uncomfort. I honestly, Rich, I don't know how to answer that question without, you know, it still comes down to personal choice. There's still going to be protocols set down by the league. There's still going to be things that we have to work around, whether you're vaccinated, not vaccinated. There's still going to be a lot of things that we have to do to make the operation work from a day-to-day basis. And so the comfort lies in preparation and making sure that we're scheduled the right way and we have things blocked off so there's no hiccups in the day. If someone is to have to sit out, we can keep the operation moving without having to move the entire organization somewhere else. But to answer your question, I'm very comfortable in the way we've been able to take what the protocols have been given and to make sure that the scheduling fits in a way that we shouldn't have a hiccup in the way we prepare on a day-to-day basis.
Zach Wilson going into his first training camp.
Say that, I'm sorry.
What do you want to see from Zach Wilson while he's going through his first training camp?
The same thing I want to see from everybody. It's get better. It's you've had all of them, and not to deflect Zach, but they're all the same to me in the sense that they've done a great job establishing a foundation here in the first, this phase 3. They've done a great job doing that. They've all gotten a little bit better. They've all at least grasped what's trying to be taught schematically, offensively, defensively, and with special teams. So, there's 30 to 40 days where they have off, and they're going to be presented with a million opportunities and a million decisions to either keep what they've capture what they've accomplished and build upon it, or let it go and go do something else. And so we really want these guys to really grab hold of what they've been able to accomplish here in the first couple of weeks of phase 3, take it into these next 40 days, and to see if we can start, if they can find a way to start a little bit better in training camp than when we leave today. That's exactly what I want to see, and I want to see everybody get better. So,
corner position again, Robert. After seeing these guys throughout OTAs and minicamp, do you still? I remember you had said like you wanted to assess the young guys and then see where you guys were. Are you confident with just that group, or would you like to add a body there?
Yeah, I've been up here. I've said it before. I think the difference between player A and player Z in the entire league. I'm not talking about superstars. I'm not talking about the Aaron Donalds of the world. They're unique, but the difference between player A and player Z is minimal. And the only thing that keeps player Z from becoming player A is an opportunity and reps. And let's see what happens. Does it always happen? It doesn't. But unless you're willing to be bold enough to coach your tail off and to invest as much as you can into these young men and give them the opportunity to be seen, give them the opportunity to get reps, give them the opportunity to get better, you'll never know what you might find. And so that's just kind of the belief and the philosophy of not only our coaching staff, but the entire organization, and that's something we're committed to.
More for Coach, a couple more for Coach.
Obviously, you have a really young team, and you could have at least a half a dozen rookies playing prominent roles this coming season. So I'm wondering, as a young coach yourself, how do you feel about the prospect of relying on so much youth and inexperience in the season?
There's Pete Carroll once said you can't be afraid to play young guys, and there's because they're hell on wheels, but they're fun to watch because it could go either way. They can, they're just mentally, there's so many things that they can learn, but there's going to be ups and downs. That's part of youth, and but if you coach and you invest and you really, and as a player you reciprocate and you invest back, especially when you're youthful and you've got juice in your legs and you're still running that 4.40 that you ran in the combine because you're young and you can get your mind to a veteran's frame of mind as fast as you can, then that's where you become an explosive team in a hurry. But to get to that point takes some trials and tribulations, some bumps in the road and some headaches. But you can't, as a football coach, be afraid to go through those bumps, because the end of the road, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It might be a freight train or it's actual light, but no matter, we're going through that tunnel and you just got to go. And it's an exciting time for these young guys. It's an exciting time for this organization, and we're just excited to see how it plays out.
It's Kim Jones. Sorry about no video. It's for the best. I was asking Greg Van Roten the other day kind of about the change in the building. He's been a veteran in this league. I thought he could, speak to it pretty well, and he did. And he said, it's as if hope has come back into your building. If you accomplished that this spring, how satisfying in a way would that be for you, knowing the team and the record of the team you took over, and the fact that some of these players in some ways, probably mentally as much as physically, almost needed to be rebuilt a little bit?
It's never easy. I've been fortunate and unfortunate. I've been a part of Super Bowl teams. I've been a part of teams that have gone 2-14, 1-15 the very first year I think I was in the league, and it's not easy. Especially when confidence is a very, very hard thing to regain, and to be honest with you, when you talk from a confidence standpoint, that it's not even back yet. It's like this is the world's greatest honeymoon. Whenever a new group comes in, there's the benefit of the doubt, but adversity will be the cement that creates and solidifies everything that's been built. Going through those tough times, and so. It's been a great off season, The guys have been incredibly receptive. Just like, we talked about this the other day. They're resolved during the end of the season last year to go find 2 wins in remarkable circumstances. It speaks to the character of the individuals that are in the locker room. But when we get those adverse moments in the dog days of summer, and we're in preseason games, and we might have an injury, or we're down players in a position group, and some guys have to take extra reps, like these moments, they're the moments that are going to define this team, shape the leadership of this team, shape the identity of this team, and propel us into the season. And then we'll see more adversity during the season, and how we handle those moments is what's going to build us for not only this year but the years to come. So it's cool that there's a positive outlook. It's exciting that there's a positive outlook, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet in terms of what the overall outlook of this organization will be for, again, not only this year but the years to come.
Everybody good?
As a coach for the next 6 weeks, what do you do to get ready for the upcoming season, and how much of what you've learned over the spring informs how you'll prepare for training camp?
There's 7 kids and a beautiful wife waiting for me to come home. They haven't seen me in a little over a year, if you think about it, dating back to last year and writing a new job. So I'll be spending a lot of time with them. When they shut it down during the day, I'll probably turn on some film and try to create some cut-ups and do some things from football, look at schedules, make sure things are good, check with our chief of staff, Skarnecki, on day-to-day operations, make sure we're doing good. But I personally, I need to hit the golf course and the swimming pool with the kiddos. So.
As you played, how do you top them? You got a tee time at Augusta next?
God willing, I need a connection if you got one.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.